Yes.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Drama in the Congress of the United States. Votes in the House and Senate on whether to override President Reagan's veto of a civil rights bill. What has been called the first presidential veto of a civil rights bill in this Congress in more than 120 years. Vice President George Bush aligned himself with Mr. Reagan in opposing the civil rights legislation. The law was designed to restore civil rights diluted 4 years ago by the Supreme Court. Correspondent Phil Jones was at the Capitol for the votes.
Okay, you want him to vote along with President Reagan, right?
Despite an emotional and massive campaign that overloaded the Capitol switchboard, the Senate and House voted overwhelmingly to override President Reagan's veto of the Civil Rights Restoration Act.
We don't want to see the door shut in one's face because of color of skin. Or of gender.
The legislation came in response to a Supreme Court ruling in the winter of 1984 on Grove City College in Pennsylvania, which had separated men's and women's intramural sports programs. The court ruled that an entire institution or agency could not lose federal aid just because of discrimination in one specific program. But the legislation passed today returns the law to the original intent, prohibiting federal aid if there is any discrimination. The president and his supporters went down fighting.
The truth is, this legislation isn't a civil rights bill. It's a power grab by Washington.
This bill goes into religion. It goes into private schools. It goes into private competitive business. I say to you, it's a dangerous bill.
And the moral majority tried to turn it into a gay rights legislation debate.
Your church would find it impossible, could possibly find it impossible, to dismiss from employment a youth pastor who is a practicing homosexual, a drug addict with AIDS.
This bill has nothing to do with gay rights. It protects racial minorities, ethnic minorities, and religious minorities. It protects women. It protects the handicapped.
Many Republicans were clearly unhappy with the president's veto. Senate GOP leader Dole, campaigning in Wisconsin, said he would have supported the president if his vote would have made a difference. But that said, Dole tried to have it both ways.
I think the president made a mistake. That bill is not nearly as bad as advertised.
Vice President Bush also argued that those getting federal money must comply with the civil rights laws, but he refused to break with his president. However, some 70 Republicans did say no to their president today. Phil Jones, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Postal officials today announced an Easter Sunday present of sorts, the 25-cent stamp, and a 25% hike for so-called advertising junk mail. Now, until enough 25-cent stamps are actually printed, customers will be able to buy special so-called e-stamps that go on sale tomorrow. Peter Van Sant has details and reaction from some letter senders.
Plagued by debt and rising costs, the U.S. Postal Service today announced it's raising rates, that beginning April 3rd, it will cost you at least a quarter to mail a first-class letter, an increase of 3 cents a stamp.
They reflect the higher cost the Postal Service is experiencing. To all our customers, we can only repeat our pledge of better service.
I think it's a bit outrageous. I like paying 22 cents.
I am really upset about it, but really there's nothing we can do. They tell us it's going up from 22 to 25, and there's nothing we can do. What can we do?
The service is going to be the same, so I can't see why we're going to pay 3 more cents for what?
Customers will be getting something in return for the higher price stamps, less service. Post office hours have been cut, modernization programs have been slashed, and Saturday delivery may be stopped. The reason, more than $200 million in losses last year, which could climb to $400 million this year. Since 1975, when you could mail a letter for a dime, the Postal Service has raised stamp prices 7 times. During those 12 years, the cost of a stamp has nearly tripled.
66 cents.
Private postal companies say they'll benefit from the Postal Service's problems.
I think the stamp price increase plus a potential shortening of the post office hours not only will have an impact on our business, it's already starting to have an impact.
Well, I'm going to start using places like this for the convenience and service.
In tiny Cassville, Georgia, residents don't have any private companies to turn to, and today's rate hike spawned a debate down at the post office.
Getting less and paying more. That's it right there. That narrows it right down to it.
It's still your cheapest way. And now you don't have to get 3 pennies back.
Postal critics expect more price increases as the Postal Service struggles with its debt. Many worry that with more cutbacks, customers will be getting third-class service at first-class prices. Peter Van Sant, CBS News, Atlanta.
8 states today filed suit against some of the best-known insurance companies in the world, charging them with what one prosecutor called, and I quote, the most insidious consumer fraud by American companies in modern times. A spokesman for the insurance companies denied the charges. Correspondent Jerry Bowen has this story.
When the Bay Area suburb of Lafayette, California couldn't get liability insurance several years ago, when 118 companies even refused coverage for the town's playing field, city fathers decided to fight.
Wealthy and politically powerful companies should be subject to the law.
When tiny Plymouth, California, population 800, was forced to close the town's swimming pool, was left without its 2-man police force because it couldn't afford liability insurance, the national crisis really hit with a vengeance.
It's probably the hardest thing I've had to do, especially the pool with the children. It was very devastating for me.
Today, California and 7 other states filed suit claiming the crisis was manufactured, was the result of a conspiracy by 4 major American insurance firms, the industry's trade association, and major reinsurers such as Lloyd's of London, who provide insurance for the insurance companies, in effect sharing the risk.
What you have them doing is uniting, limiting the kind of coverage that is available, and then uniting in combination with the underwriters in London to make sure that those reinsurance companies would not offer pollution coverage and would not offer the kinds of coverage that had heretofore been available.
The suit claims that the American companies and their reinsurers carry such clout, they were able to force limited coverage and high rates on the industry through the trade association, which sets the standards, a charge denied.
We believe that the allegations contained in the complaint are meritless and ill-founded.
Insofar as the charges involve the Hartford, I can tell you that they are unfounded and totally unsupportable. The suit is astounding.
We have had a steady stream of complaints from child care operators, youth organizations, because of the inability to either get insurance or to have to pay an increased amount.
The suit filed in San Francisco federal court seeks relief for the private sector as well, and overall calls for $1 billion in damages, an end to the alleged international conspiracy, and a major restructuring of the industry. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, San Francisco.
Before the U.S. Supreme Court tomorrow, arguments in a First Amendment case pitting professional fundraisers against state officials who say some charities are getting a raw deal. CBS News law correspondent Rita Braver tells us the fundraisers have some unexpected allies, many of the charities themselves.
Clowns, kids, and money. A typical charity event. A professional fundraiser, in this case Events International of Sarasota, Florida, sold tickets on behalf of the Escambia Bay, Florida Jaycees. The people flocking in think they're supporting the Jaycees services for sick children.
But sometimes when all the money is counted, very little of it ever gets to the charity.
The Jaycees won't know for a while how much they'll make from this evening. But last year, the Exchange Jet Club of Wilmington, North Carolina sponsored a similar circus and made $9.
We felt as though we had a great opportunity to make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000.
The contract allowed Events International to deduct overhead costs for printing, advertising, office space, all money the fundraisers say is legitimate. Still, the state of North Carolina wants to crack down.
All we want the professional fundraisers to do is to charge a reasonable fee as opposed to an unlimited amount for the service that they perform.
A North Carolina study showed that the state's 5 top fundraisers paid out to charity an average of only 13 to 20% of the money taken in. So the state passed a law requiring professional fundraisers to give a reasonable amount from an event, usually 70 to 80%, to charity, and to tell contributors what percentage of money the fundraiser collected in the past year actually went to charity. But not all the charities approved of the new law. The North Carolina Federation of the Blind, for example, said it needs even the smallest contributions and the chance to get its name out to the public.
We could not go out and do the telephone soliciting ourselves. We can't read the telephone books, and we wouldn't know who to call. And we just simply had to have a professional representative to do this for us.
The lower courts ruled that requiring professional fundraisers to tell how much they turned over to charities in the past interferes with the First Amendment right of free speech.
The state doesn't have the right to dilute my message by requiring me to say things that are not accurate, not relevant, and create an undue burden.
They're not the charity. They are a commercial business for-profit.
So now it's up to the U.S. Supreme Court to decide whether the states have the right to limit professional fundraisers who want to send in the clowns. Rita Graver, CBS News, Pensacola, Florida.
The Democratic presidential campaign of Michael Dukakis is about to pick up a big and perhaps crucial endorsement. CBS News has been told that Senator Bill Bradley of New Jersey, himself seen as a dark horse possible candidate in the event of a deadlocked convention, will endorse Dukakis tomorrow. Support of Dukakis by the popular Bradley is expected to have a major impact in 3 upcoming primaries, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, with almost 550 delegates at stake. Endorsement by Bradley would increase pressure on New York's Governor Mario Cuomo to endorse somebody or get in himself. Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, John Blackstone on the Central American conversation between sides that haven't been speaking, and Barry Peterson on a Japanese consumer revolt. They want Japanese products at U.S. prices.
Where's Charlie?
So how's your new lawnmower?
Great, I've wanted a John Deere all my life. Got there first thing this morning, done in no time.
Where is he? I've had my John Deere rider for years. Never had a bit of trouble.
Mine started this morning like the first day I got it, and it's 7 years old. So what's keeping Charlie?
He doesn't have a John Deere, does he?
Nothing runs like a deer.
It's Taster's Choice Colombian Select with half the caffeine.
Get a full cup of flavor with only half the caffeine. The kind of coffee you'll savor from all Colombian beans.
Taster's Choice Colombian Select.
I've got big news for prune lovers who also love cereal. Actually, it's kind of small news when you look at it. It's Sunsweet bite-sized pitted prunes. Try them on your cereal and you'll agree Sunsweet bite-size is just the right size.
For more than 80 years, people have come home to homes with Anderson windows. Come home. And while times have changed, our commitment to quality and to the home has not. Which is why today, more people come home to Anderson windows than any other.
Come home to quality. Come home to Anderson.
With President Reagan leading a new push for Contra aid in Washington, the Nicaraguan government, the Sandinistas, and the Contras today exchanged proposals for ending their 7-year-old war. Correspondent John Blackstone is covering the peace talks in Nicaragua.
It is a sign of some progress that the Contra and Sandinista leaders have returned to their border post negotiations for a second day. Today, both sides put proposals on the table for ways to stop the fighting. But the proposals show different approaches to peace that in the past have stood in the way of a settlement. The Sandinistas offer a 90-day ceasefire, during which the Contras would disarm and begin working as a civilian opposition party. The Contras propose a 45-day truce, but they would not lay down their arms immediately. During that truce, political change would be negotiated, and the Contras would disarm only as democratic reforms were put in place.
Full and complete freedom of expression, television, radio, and press.
Although Nicaragua's official newspapers are describing the talks optimistically, both sides remain suspicious of the other. The Contras don't want to give up their weapons and bases until they know the Sandinistas are serious about reform. The Sandinistas don't want to begin a ceasefire until they know the Contras won't simply use the time to regroup and re-equip. Those who know both sides well say it isn't time yet to say the conflict will end.
I hope that both of them are sincere and that it is true that neither wants to destroy the other. Because up to now it's been a tug of war.
A measure of pessimism was expressed publicly today when news reached this border post that President Reagan was increasing pressure for more aid to the Contras. A Sandinista spokesman said the administration is practicing political terrorism against the Nicaraguan people.
The Sandinista official media portray the Contras as more American than Nicaraguan, and the Contras themselves may be contributing to that idea. Even while talking peace in Nicaragua, they've been running commercials asking for money in the United States.
We're fighting back, but your Congress has abandoned us.
In spite of the public optimism, even at the start of these first high-level face-to-face talks, there were no handshakes. One Contra source said both sides are talking more than they're listening. John Blackstone, CBS News, Sapua, Nicaragua.
President Reagan and his aides today rejected an offer by Panama's military ruler to step down as head of the armed forces. A White House spokesman called it a, quote, transparent ploy designed to keep General Manuel Noriega in power behind the scenes. In Panama, opposition leaders also rejected the general's offer of negotiations. They said they want him out now. Doug Tennell is covering in the country with the canal.
In Panama today, it was the gas stations where troops policed lines of cars waiting for fuel that is rumored to be running out. There has been no let-up in the general strike. 90% of this country's private businesses remained closed. Manuel Noriega may have hoped that raising the possibility of his resignation last night would ease opposition to his regime. It has not. In the meantime, Noriega's men have been sharpening their counterattacks on American policy in Panama.
What right do the Americans have to say who should be head of our police force or head of our fire department? I think that's none of the American business.
And so within a few hundred yards of the Panama Canal today, you find Panamanians demanding that Yankees go home. And Yankees who are preparing to do just that.
The situation here is getting bad.
After living in Panama for more than 30 years, Joe and Marcia Cicero were packing up and moving out today because they say the 40,000 Americans here are not welcome anymore.
The more anti-gringo sentiment with this regime that's in. And you just aren't comfortable. The people, my friends, are not comfortable down here anymore.
As the crisis over Noriega's government continues, there are many here who fear an old friendship between Panama and the United States is now dangerously adrift. And there are some who are calling for drastic action to put it back on course again.
The only way this problem will be solved is the Americans come in and do the same thing like what they did in Grenada.
There have been no public opinion polls, but experienced observers here believe that at least half of Panama's 2.2 million people would support American military intervention to oust Noriega.
We want that Noriega go. And if you can help us, please help us. Because we don't want to be like Nicaragua or Salvador.
In this Central American nation with long-standing ties to the United States, many are bewildered now when they hear about American troops in Honduras, while Panama festers in a crisis with no end in sight. Doug Tennell, CBS News, Panama.
Sarah, keep an eye on your brother.
Face it, you never really know how demanding business is going to be. So more and more companies are choosing Konica, the copiers they know they can rely on.
Let's go, kids.
No matter what size your company, no matter what size the job, Konica copiers are ready. Konica, capturing the imagination.
Have you heard about this left brain, right brain stuff? Take steak. The left brain believes in moderation. The right brain just knows it's good. Nice thing about sirloin, makes the whole brain happy. Beef, real food for real people.
In Alamance County, North Carolina, Honda lawnmowers are assembled from the wheels up. Beginning with the Honda overhead valve engine, each precision part is fitted and assembled to exacting tolerances. Then, the final critical step that determines whether a machine will meet the Honda standard, the Clara Johnson test. If Clara pulls and it starts, it's a Honda.
Ship it. Take my test during the Clara Johnson Challenge at your Honda Power Equipment dealer.
A gentle guarantee. X-Lax is guaranteed to work gently by 8 a.m. when taken at bedtime or your money back. A promise you can count on. X-Lax, guaranteed complete relief by 8 a.m.
Secretary of State Schultz and Soviet Foreign Minister Shevardnadze met again today in Washington, and they assigned arms control negotiators to work out what were described as lots and lots of disagreements on the road to getting a treaty to reduce long-range missiles. The two also presided at the opening of a new communications center designed to cut the risk of accidental nuclear war. This center is a high-tech version of the old Washington to Moscow hotline. Iranian gunboats attacked 2 more tankers in the Persian Gulf today, killing 2 crewmen and injuring 9. Another Iraqi missile hit Tehran, and more civilians were killed. But the most vicious attack came along the northern border, where Iraqi warplanes dropped chemical bombs on 3 villages. The Iranian government took reporters to the scene today, and from London, Tom Fenton reports on what they saw. We caution you that these pictures of the results of war are graphic and gruesome.
This appears to be the first evidence of wide-scale use of poison gas against a civilian population since World War II. Last Wednesday afternoon, much of life came to a halt in the border town of Halabja. Several thousand lives were simply snuffed out. An old man showed Western cameramen a house in which everyone died in bed. In another home, the family fled to the cellar, but the gas followed them there. Some died in their cars as they tried to drive away. Others who were fleeing took only a few steps from their truck before they dropped in their tracks. Thousands of those who survived are suffering agonizing after effects. Local doctors say the town, inhabited by Kurdish tribesmen, was hit with several types of gas, including cyanide, by 3 waves of Iraqi planes. The town had just been captured by the Iranians. The Iraqis, in retaliating, were hitting their own population. Iraq has been using poison gas against Iranian military targets since 1984. That caused only a ripple of protest. Experts doubt that its use against civilians now will cause much of an outcry.
I don't think you'll see any chance of a significant embargo of any sort. Iraq is too important to the West.
Increasingly, non-combatants are becoming victims on both sides. For the past 3 weeks, Iran and Iraq have been pounding each other's cities with long-range, high-explosive rockets. Hundreds have been killed. At sea, attacks on merchant ships are taking an increasing toll of civilian seamen. 2 more neutral ships were hit today by Iranian gunboats. The crew's living quarters are the usual target.
There are 2 dead people so far still on board the vessel.
U.S. and British warships could merely watch and render humanitarian aid. Their presence in the Gulf now has only a marginal impact on this increasingly nasty war. Tom Fenton, CBS News, London.
French President Francois Mitterrand ended months of suspense today. He declared in a television interview that he will run for a second term in elections next month. His chief opponents will be Premier Jacques Chirac and former Premier Raymond Barre.
What would you get if you crossed an Oldsmobile like this? With an Oldsmobile like this, you'd get an Oldsmobile that really cooks. The Cutlass Calais with a remarkable quad-4 engine.
Moms sure make life easier. Mine did. Like another mom, Phillips Milk of Magnesia. Phillips Mom helps your body work naturally for easy overnight relief. Even has this convenient dosage cup. Nobody treats you better than Mom.
Do it yourself. Do it for yourself. Do yourself proud with Minwax and Wood.
Wood finish for beautiful color like no other, and Minwax polyurethane for fast drying protection that lasts.
Do yourself proud with Minwax and Wood.
We know what it's like to go shopping. You have to find the right fit, style, and color.
And when you find all that, you feel great.
Well, there's one more thing that matters.
Made in the USA.
The Made in the USA label. Because when you find that, you feel even better.
It's a great feeling.
Look for the Made in the USA label in apparel and home fashions because it matters.
Made in the USA.
In Washington, the government today reported that so-called big-ticket durable goods fell 1.8% for the month of February. That's the second month in a row for a decline. The Japanese, busily buying America, have at home been known as the land of rising prices for consumer goods as well as homes and land. But some things are coming down in the new Japanese economy. Barry Peterson has that story.
This new vending machine sells bargain-priced jewelry, part of a mini consumer revolution that is making Japanese buying habits more American. They're hunting for bargains. Spreading discount stores shortcut the traditional and expensive distribution system. Some find the prices too good to be true. These things are probably fake, she says, because the prices are so cheap. To the Japanese, high price has long meant high quality. But they've also accepted high prices for a reason that may surprise many Americans. The Japanese believe they have a personal stake in seeing their companies prosper.
You want the corporation to profit because it protects your job. The corporation does not turn you out into the street.
But loyalties are changing, the strong yen making many foreign goods irresistibly cheaper. Cameras from Taiwan, compact disc players from Korea, and try this. Coca-Cola made in Singapore selling for 40% less than Coke made in Japan. Japanese bargain hunt on television home shopping shows, including products from America, or use mail order to buy direct. Adding fuel to the new revolt, the traveling Japanese, who discover made-in-Japan items can be had overseas for a fraction of what they cost back home. For instance, a Minolta that goes for $753 in this Tokyo camera store sells for $300 in New York.
We Japanese pay, a lot of money to Japanese products. I don't know why. Something wrong.
To right that wrong, Japanese exports are coming home. These Japanese-made telephones brought back from America sold for $77 versus the $660 usually charged here. Film brought back from the United States is a third off the Japanese price. If bargain-conscious consumers force price cuts here, Japanese companies may have to raise export prices to maintain profits. The bottom line? Americans may soon be paying more so the Japanese can buy for less. Barry Peterson, CBS News, Tokyo.
And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. See you tomorrow. Good night.
So what are you doing at Dow these days, Peggy?
Well, right now I'm working in agricultural research, Grandpa. We're trying to help farmers find new ways to make every dollar work harder.
We want to keep this farm in the family a few more generations.
Pretty tough, isn't it?
You bet. So your dad and brother don't need all the help they can get.
And you can make a difference in what tomorrow brings.
I won't let you down.
'Cause Dow lets you do great things.
A while back, I had this sprained ankle. I didn't take aspirin or Tylenol. My doctor gave me Advil. It worked on the pain, and Advil was gentler to my stomach than aspirin. Advil, tablets and caplets, advanced medicine for pain.
Right up here. Here, you get to keep the sign. Okay, look at that.
When you choose someone to help you sell your home, you want it to be somebody you can trust. Maybe that's why Century 21 is the #1 home selling system in America. We know a whole lot about trust.
Come with us.
Get the picture?
Put your trust in #1. Century 21.
Where does it hurt?
Here.
For indigestion, heartburn, and gas, nobody does as much as Malox Plus. Dose for dose, it neutralizes more than any regular strength antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as Malox Plus.
This is CBS.
Coming up on Eyewitness News, Metro Police are asking for millions more to fight crime and considering a surcharge on home security systems to help raise more funds. And money is also on the minds of Metro School Board members, money to pay for more high school counseling programs. These stories plus a look at a very difficult life or death decision. Next on Eyewitness News.
I know I haven't said this very often in the last 25 years. Living with me probably seemed twice that long. Well, anyway, back then, we didn't have any money.